Namaste, good evening and welcome all. Today I'll be curating this webinar along with my colleague Sanjay ji. My name is Shivakumar Kassetti. I am one of the ASIFA India volunteers. I also volunteer for ACM SIGGRAPH North America, SIGGRAPH Asia and View Conference. Currently I work as a recruitment and production consultant with the Monk Studios, Bangkok, Thailand. I would like to take this opportunity and recognize my other ASIFA India members. Sanjay ji, founder of Horizon Institute of Design and runs Arena Animation in Indore. R.K. Ramakrishna Garu, founder and CEO of ISEG and other production houses in Hyderabad. Vinod Garu from Hyderabad. Vinod Garu has been helping us with accounts and operations. Shesha Prasad, head of production for DNEG India. Prasad is the captain of ASIFA India team. And Vani Saraswati, independent director and producer. And Vani is the president of ASIFA India. I would like to thank all the evangelists and city volunteers who has helped us make this ASIFA India webinars possible. And I would also like to recognize our supporters like SIGGRAPH Asia, CTN Expo, and I would also like to thank our media partners, AWN.com, Animation World Network, and AnimationExpress.com. Now I would like to request my colleague Sanjay ji to take over.
Namaste, good evening. This is Sanjay Khemesra. I'm founder Horizon Institute of Design. I'm from Indore, and it is a privilege to host and curate today's session. I will talk a little bit about ASIFA International. I'll also talk about ASIFA India. ASIFA International is a professional body. It is recognized by UNESCO. It is devoted to develop film animation both as an art and as an effective means of communication. ASIFA was founded in 1960 in Annecy, France, and today it enjoys representation from over 40 countries. You can visit www.asifa.net to know more about ASIFA International. ASIFA India was founded in November 2000, and it is aspiring on the same ideals and goals as of its international organization, that is ASIFA International. In the spirit of celebrating the community of art and animation, throughout the year, ASIFA India is involved in a lot of activities like workshops, seminars, case studies, film screenings. The popular monthly CG Meetup series, it commenced way back in 2006. So we are all involved in community building exercise, and we do a lot of educational events which are intended to help the Indian artists. By staying true to our spirit and upholding one of its motto of blending art and technology, making available invaluable knowledge and information, ASIFA India throughout the year arranges several free workshops, namely CG meetups. Recently, we have started with eCG meetups, and today we are on the 5th of the series of eCG meetup. We started in the month of August itself. So 4 sessions have been already conducted. Today is 5th session in the series of this particular exercise. And it is my privilege to introduce today's honorable speaker, E.Suresh Eriyat. He is one of the eminent personality in India. He is a filmmaker, designer, animator, and an artist. He is from southern India, born in 1973. He graduated from National Institute of Design, Ahmedabad, in communication design, and then super specialized in animation film design in 1997. He began his journey in the field of animation and film design with famous house of animation. That was in 1998. This particular venture uh, went ahead with numerous ads, shorts, music videos, and he did many firsts initially from famous studio. So it also gave a lot of national and international recognitions right from that stage. Later in 2009, along with his wife Nilima Eriyat, he started a studio called XRS Studio. This studio deals in production of films in a media agnostic manner, indulging in cinema, television, web, and digital platforms. Suresh is having one of the most respected resume today. He has 400 plus films to his credit, and which allows him to receive numerous awards also, including prestigious Annecy festival Cristal that was way back in 2015, which was first for India. Although he is acknowledged globally, Suresh Eriyat has repeatedly stressed on the difficulty of perception of animation in India. It is still considered as a technique, not as a means of telling stories. So today's session, Sureshji will be talking more about how to tell story through short films, and like along with all these credentials, Sureshji has been on the juries of various film festivals across the world. He has been on Clio, Asia Image, Apollo, D&AD, Asia Pacific Ed Fest, Promex, London International Awards, Croc. These are some of the festivals where he is a part of jury also. And he has to his credit, along with this Cristal of Annecy, two awards from President of India. They were National Film Awards and in the field of animation. And they were to one of the film Fisherman and Women in Tuk-Tuk, and another one was Tokri. So I take this pride and privilege to invite Sureshji to talk about his initiatives and his tremendous efforts for animation fraternity in India, which he is taking globally. Thank you. Over to Vani.
Oh my God, that is amazing. I mean, this is so exciting. Thank you so much, Suresh, for coming and joining us and, sharing your life's journey with us. The panelists, and the participants are super, super excited to hear from you. Thank you again for doing this. I'm excited, as you can see. All right, over to Suresh. To the participants, I highly request, as we are not sitting in front and Suresh can't see your faces and he can't see how happy or how joyous you feel when he's sharing his work, say something in the chat window. If you like something that he's saying, just go and cheer for him so he can feel your energy.
Well,
Bye, guys.
thank you so much. Thank you so much, Vani, Sanjay, Shiva, all of you from ASIFA. It's really an honor to be here. And I think we are very much used to this normalcy where we have a huge crowd listening to us, but they are completely invisible. So this is almost become a habit now. So thank you all for being here, and I'm really looking forward to sharing some of my experiences and stories uh, from the beginning till now. And I hope there will be some interaction that we'll have towards the end. You will have questions to ask me about my journey, my films, my technical processes, creative processes. I would be more than happy to share it with them. This is the whole objective in these sort of webinars, where we are only looking at sharing our experience with you. And I somehow feel that these times have been really wonderful in some sense. That I think this is probably the
10th or 12th session that I'm doing in these last 4 months. And I mean, all of them have been different topics and different focus. Uh, this sort of frequency of talks I'm not used to. I'm not a speaker, so to say, because I'm an artist. I'm a filmmaker. I'm a worker, basically. So it's been a little overwhelming for me to be sharing stories. I am sure you will be able to find a lot of stories that I have spoken. There will be some common threads in this session as well. I'm thinking that your questions will make it unique. Your and my answers to your questions would make it a unique session. Um, First of all, let me share with you some of our films. I've been, like Sanjay said, I've been very fortunate my lifetime in the last 2 decades, from the time I started working in Mumbai from 98, 97 till now. I've been able to be part of almost 400, more than 400 films, mostly in direction and production and creative direction, mentoring, etc. So I'm going to show you a snippet of our films from 1999. That's when we actually started producing some films at Famous House of Animation. So just watch it. It's a video clip that I'm going to share with you, chronologically arranged.
If you lose mind, look in the behind. His car was right, the battery was wrong. My Amaron last long, really long. Bolo! Last long, really long, last long, really long. Boys! Girls! Chunni, chunni, laal. Mangwai, chumele, sandal, laaye, darwaje ka handle. Chunni, 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 laal. Makhi, makhi, makhi. Raja ne Kingstar ki hawa chalai. गारंटी 20 साल की मिलेगी और टैक्स की बचत भी। हेल्थ गारंटी 20 साल की मिलेगी और टैक्स की बचत भी। कई भी रे घड़ी ना खाली राबड़ी একটা ঘড়ি তো আছে অন্তত মার কাছে ক্যামেরা। और पहले कब नेटिव ओनर उनका बच्चा बच्चे का दोस्त उसकी चाची चाची की माँ पड़ोसन और टीम टीम पता नहीं ओ ये रही टीम। Sweet like chocolate, put it in a bar, hold it hostage. Take it right, we keep loving it, don't drop it. ख्वाबों के आसमां में ख्वाहिशों का डेरा है सितारों के पार कहीं। Say hello to my little friend. world's best head massage. रुक जा मेरे भाई. Office. चेहरा यहाँ भी क्लीन कर सकते, वो भी बिना पानी. Impossible. तो सॉफ्ट लैंडिंग में काम आएगा ना. ओ जी. सर बादलों में मछली. WHO still recommends breastfeeding, as benefits outweigh the potential risk of transmitting the virus.
All right.
That was awesome. Come on, participants, let's give him an applaud.
Thank you so much.
That's fantastic. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, thank you for the suggestion, Wani, to put it in the chronological order, which is, I think, that even I feel very old after seeing this. You know, like always, spirit-wise, I was feeling that, oh, did I actually do so much work? But, you know, since when you see it from 98 to 99 to 2020, it is like you feel the time has really passed. Okay, guys. Thank you so much for all the appreciation. Thank you, really. And I'm going to take you a little bit into my childhood because I think the kind of work that I have been doing and the way I have been molded, I think there is a lot my childhood, my growing up years have got to do with. So it will not be really right to not share some of those stories with you of my growing up years. So I'm going to share a small presentation I put together so that you can see, you can get an idea of how I started off. Somebody should reserve this question for later about you have seen so many films, but there is no one film that looks like another film. that is not by magic, but I would like to probably elaborate during some of the questions
Definitely,
later.
definitely. I'm sure
Yeah.
Shiva and Sanjay ji will remember this.
Sure, sure. Okay. So this is my presentation. So yeah, so this is the beginning. Okay, this is that's me. I was when I was born. It was quite a miracle. Or in my small town, I was born in a small town called Tripunithura in Kerala. My father, mother on the left of screen, you can see they were 44 and 43 years old. I have two elder sisters, and 4.5 kilo baby was unheard of for a 43-year-old woman to deliver normally. And yes, I was born on 26th of November 1973 AD, or 46 BC, before Corona. So this is something that I wanted to put it together for you. Uh, that is me in the middle. That's a very old family photo. So this was my regular uniform. Come home after school and just change into your vest and roam around. We used to call me banyan mein to ghumna. That was the most easiest costume ever, roaming around, running around the house. Yeah, so that's my father, mother, my two sisters, and this red shorts was something that was a hot favorite of mine. And on the right of screen, you can see this is a regular. I was a big fan of Hanuman. I still am, and this is me for all the guests and relatives who used to land up at home. My father or mother would say, "Show the Vishwarupam of Hanuman. How does Hanuman take that Vishwarup, which is the how does he grow into that gigantic size?" So this is my demo of how Hanuman grows into, and I had full conviction on my face. Uh, so yeah, this is a little bit trivia, but yeah, I am born strictly a vegetarian. 3 times a day, I used to have the same food all around the years. Till NID, I was used to this habit. I used to imagine various food. I used to replace sambar with some major chicken curry or something, and the beans sabji that sometimes used to be there, I would replace it with some eggs. And so I used to make my imagination pretty sumptuous as a meal, and I used to have it. Probably imagination started over there, and I still remember I used to think a little wackily those times. I'm not trying to say that I'm exceptional, but sometimes limitations make one like that. I remember there was an instance where I got very. I asked my uncle for a long time. I wanted a small double decker bus. I remember that double decker bus he got for me from Bombay or Bangalore. I don't remember. And I used to really love it. And somehow I wanted that double decker to grow. And I remember this is so precious to me. I dug it behind my house compound. I dug deep and put it like a seed. And later, a few months later, I could never find it. And that's how I lost my double decker. And even now, when I go visiting places for film festivals or whatever, I still collect these double decker buses, toys, and because that's a real fascination for me. And this is on the right is a studio photograph. There was no SLR camera or a selfie or something. Everybody had to go to a studio to take pictures. So this is a picture of mine from those days. This is my father. My father figures in a lot of my stories. He's been one of my inspirations. He's told me so many stories. Believe that there are many fantasies, there are many ghost stories, many fables, Mahabharat. So and many, he knows. I used to win a lot of Purana quiz and all those things during those times. And I think all the credits goes to my father, who used to narrate a lot of these stories to me. And whenever I draw, he's one of the hot topics. He's all of 90, and this is a photo of him standing next to my house. This is my father. He's a character himself. So I remember during my childhood. I mean, of course, he would have been 50 or something when I was 6 years old. So he was all white, but just so that he looks young, along with my classmates' parents and stuff. I used to remember he used to take the burnt matchbox matchsticks, and he used to draw over his mustache and color them black. And that was one of the finest sort of painting that I have seen in my life, using a real fine brush. And this is my mother. My mother has been in a Hindi teacher, and this was the only subject I used to really fare badly. And I used to get her, she used to get really angry with me when I used to fail and score really badly in Hindi. But I used to dread that subject. I mean, of course, I'm conversant with Hindi today, maybe thanks to her and her influences, that I'm able to read, write, and speak well in Hindi. So growing up years, the small town that I was in it was very rich in culture. There were so many festivals, so many art forms were performed. So my father used to take me for every night. I mean, every week or month, in the nights they used to have the Kathakali performances throughout the night. I used to go for these Kathakali performances. He would give me some baits or some food or some biscuits or some cutlets or something that is available after the show. So I would patiently sit with him, because I never used to understand any of these stories, to be really honest, and in Kathakali performances. But it was very exciting. The characters, the kind of shoutings that they made, the performances were like, you were like kind of floating in a surreal sort of a space where you didn't know whether it was reality or not. So this was very helpful. And the temple festivals, the music, the amount of music, the festivities, the folk art forms, etc., that we were exposed to are also tremendous. And believe me, all these things that I'm talking about is not a speciality for my town. I think this is a speciality in every town in India. It's just that, in retrospect, and now when I'm thinking back, I feel that yes, all of these things have had an influence on me, because I'm using it today. I mean, there is a lot of my thinking that connects with some art forms or the other. All my films have some connection with a folk art or a folk performance style, or a traditional, even in a textile or a craft form. It has an influence on me. So I don't know where that genesis is. I'm just kind of show you that there were so many exposures. Yes, these sort of body painting, people who painted over their bodies, you could see them during festivals. And the I did 7 years before getting into NID and focusing more on art. I was focusing on becoming a musician. I wanted to become a classical music vocalist, and I studied for 7 to 8 years during my final years in Kerala before getting into NID. And so classical Carnatic music was a big passion for me. Um, I mean, I tried pursuing it many times after coming to Bombay to pursue Hindustani, Drupad, etc. But I've never been successful in sustaining it for a long time. But 7 years of Carnatic music, I think everyone in my small town would would get into music somehow, because it was so inherent in amongst people. You walk even a kilometer, there'll be at least 3 to 4 music classes that you will listen to, somebody teaching music to students. So it was really the audioscape of my hometown also was really beautiful. Of course, this is something that I shot last year, so even now you get to see such sort of a thing. um, you know I mean, they say God's own country, but you see them roaming around on the streets most of the time. So this is a small video that I want to share with you. Sorry. So this is how normal gods are in Kerala. They roam around and nobody even looks at them. So the people are walking without even looking at them. So this is the kind of exposure of art forms like this. This happens during the Onam season. It's the same time that we are now. I mean, I don't know when these things will resume again, but because of Corona, none of these are there in Kerala or anywhere this year. Um, and of course, I used to fail in maths and stuff in the early school days, and of course, we used to go to God. There were some few temples where we would make some offerings, and we would be kind of made to pass the exam. The gods were really kind, and somehow we scraped through with pass marks and stuff. And so that's what I want to talk about. My sister, she studied MA literature, and because I started reading very very late in life, she would tell me stories, and all my childhood stories, including Tintin in the beginning, she used to read out Tintin for me, till I started picking up and reading them on my own. Hanuman, my favorite character. A lot of ghosts from my father's stories, which were giving me shivers. At the same time, sometimes you feel like laughing at these ghosts. So the hometown gave me a very very interesting backdrop of imagination, a fertile imaginative mind, which was further um used at NID and kind of refined with a lot more skills. So if you guys have any questions at this point, also we can talk about it. Uh, and so that is a bit of an introduction about myself. Um, any questions right as of now?
Yeah, Shiva, if you have questions, go ahead, please.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you, Suresh. That was fantastic. Thank you for taking us into your childhood.
It was very like inspiring and also like a very interesting how you have.
They're all very funny stories. So so yeah. So guys, I want to just cut the story. If you have any questions, I can definitely answer about it. Otherwise, I can move on. Somebody asked me, do you draw very often? Every day I draw. I draw every single day. That is one way I come up with my own stories, and I think I'll give out that secret also. It's not a secret. It's something that all of you can do. How did I come to know about an ID? So this is very strange. We used to go for painting competitions, and being in a small town like that, we were not exposed to NID. Okay, not like today. There's no internet or something. I'm talking about way back in 1990, 91. 91 is when I got admission at NID. Before even I finished my 12th, and my 11th and 12th, I focused completely to get into IIT, because that was the most aspirational engineering college. And we had only two options, engineering and medicine, and I was more keen on science, and engineering was one option, and we thought we'll try and get into IIT by studying really hard. So my entire 2 years went into preparing for IIT. And NID, by chance it came about when I went for a painting competition, which used to be, my father used to take me for painting competitions. And in one of the painting competitions, one guy appeared from nowhere. This is why I'm saying that I'm from God's own country, and gods appear in various forms and shapes there. One guy came and told me and my father that why don't you put him in NID? And that's when we heard about NID for the first time. And he suggested that you should go to you should. And then my father asked him details. How do you find how do you get into NID? And he gave some tips regarding that. Yeah, Shiva, you have.
Yeah, so I have got like a couple of questions here.
uh,
So this is by Kaja Jansi. Uh,
Okay.
I'm a short film story writer. I also have interest in filmmaking. I'm poor in English and Hindi languages, but I understand that like those two languages are like basic understanding. If you are interested to listen, the person would love to send a storyboard of their story to your email.
See, at present, we are not, we have so much of work that we have created, which we need to realize. At this point in time, we are not looking at new story ideas as of now, but it's still, and all our artists are really busy with, finishing the work that we have, because we are also um, quite busy with films right now, and because of everyone working from remotely, it's not very easy to screen scripts and stories right now. So I would really request, if people can be a little patient about this. We will definitely announce on our social media when we can actually accept scripts again.
Sure. So next question is by Aniket. Is the traditional fine arts degree mandatory in order to get into the animation industry, or how difficult it is to get into this field for someone who is not of arts background?
I really feel you need to have, if you want to animate yourself, if you want to make your own films, you have to have that skill of drawing, and that having an orientation towards fine arts is always an advantage. So I always consider people. I've heard both the versions where people have spoken about, no, even if you're not a pro in drawing or something, you can get into animation. But I believe otherwise. I somehow believe that all the, as people who I am influenced by, who I aspire, are all animators who are like first artists, and they are able to translate their ideas in terms of visuals immediately, and that is very very key to express your ideas and convert them into animation. So I would think your fine arts is very very important. Drawing and painting, or whichever stream you want to select, that's fine.
Sure.
If there are any questions regarding my background, then we can
Yeah.
um,
So
yeah.
when it comes to your background, like someone is asking, like I think it's Raju Takir, Thakre, which medium you enjoy most, live action, 2D or 3D, or digital medium, or stop motion animation?
No, it's a very very tough question to ask, because as you see, most of my films are always using different mediums, and it's it's always that I think of the story first and medium second. I have a long wish list of mediums that I want to explore, but that is not an excuse for me to put a medium or a look or look or style onto a film. All the look and feel or the medium selection that we have used in our films, they've always been an outcome of a process. We explore so much when you get an idea or a story, and eventually that shape or form crystallizes. It is never something that I preconceive and say that, this, let's do this film in, that, sand animation, or let's do this film in stop motion animation, or let's do this in live action, let's use people. It's never like that. It's always the medium actually follows the story. In my case, I have realized it, and even now the new things that we are working on, we are working on the story, but we don't know where we are going to end up in terms of the medium and the pipeline. I have no idea.
Okay. So
I
next,
have no preferences. I love all the. I myself would love to animate with 2D. That's my core skill. I mean, I would like to animate with my own drawing. That's what I would like.
sure.
It's like, I tell people that I have like more than 20-25 handwritings. I write in so many different handwritings. It depends on the pen, the paper, the ambience, the there are several things that matter in my handwriting. It's never the same. I mean, it doesn't mean that I'm so inconsistent and like, I can't decide between one handwriting or the other. But it's like it's something that I'm always driven by mood and stuff. I could say that, but for the films, it's always a very explorative process where we just gun for the best. That's how. Whether it is Fisherwoman and Tuk-Tuk, Tokri, any of these films that we have done, it is never first thought as okay, let's do it in this medium. Uh, Even if you have that medium in mind, the form, how does it eventually look? Um, that is something that we don't decide in the beginning.
Sure.
Suresh, taking this segue into our next segment,
Yeah,
would you please share about your short film journey, and then we'll kind of consolidate all the questions while we are
sure,
at it.
sure,
Yeah, because there are
sure,
tons of questions coming, and we would like to get to your presentation, and then we'll come back to
sure,
questions.
sure, sure.
Thank you,
Yeah,
thank you.
yeah. So NID actually was a place that changed my perspective completely. It really I went for something but ended up in something else. It almost was like that. Animation was not my choice. To be really honest, I wanted to be a graphic designer, and after studying for in the first 3-4 years, it was a 5-year course I got into, and after 5 years, after 4 years, I got into animation, and I was the only person in animation. So it was a jury recommendation rather than my own choice. So it is not really something that I would say that you go very premeditated with this notion that probably in today's time people are doing like that. During those days, those times, I never went with an idea that okay, I'm going to get into design institute and become an animation film designer. So the place really molded me in terms of the exposures and courses into multiple aspects. I mean, I have learned graphic design, I've learned video, I have learned exhibition design, space design, furniture design. I mean, you're exposed to so many disciplines of design, and that it gives you a different sort of horizon when you go out. And I think in filmmaking, you kind of use a lot of discipline areas, and exposure and interest in many areas is a blessing in disguise when you're working on a film, because in a film you are using set design, you are using furniture design, you are using prop design, you're using costume design, you are using makeup design, look design. There there is no limitation in the fields of design, lighting design, photography. There are so many disciplines that come into play, and I'm very happy that I'm in film, because I can always I enjoy different roles that one plays in the filmmaking process. I love carpentry. I mean, I don't do it, but I would love to see a carpenter making stuff. It's one of my favorite pastime when people are constructing stuff. Just watching them, it is really amazing to see how crafts emerge and how people make things out of just material and their skill and tools. It's really something that I'm fascinated by. So NID, in the 5.5 years course, it really changed me as a person, um, my outlook. I have a few photographs of NID days, which I would like to share with you. It's got nothing to do with uh, education, but just how the appearance used to be. It used to be, yeah. So the second from the left is me, and this is our first year. Those are all my friends at NID, and yeah, this was on the right is our animation room, where we had a quick action recorder, and people who know Sanath is standing behind, and the others are teachers, and the other one is the girl is Kea D'Souza, again an animator from NID. Yeah, so there was, this is also towards the end of my studies there. NID also was quite a bit of cultural shock wise. Also, it was very different because you're coming from all the way from Kerala, first time in the northern part or western part of India. And this NID has like different sort of people from all over the country. Um, so the sometimes people will call you a Madrasi, sometimes people will call you, so we say, no, I'm from Kerala, but people don't know what is Kerala. आप लोग तो सब all of you are South Indians, all of you are Madrasi. So there were those sort of things. So you get your my English was very bad, so I used to be made fun a lot because I couldn't converse very well. So there were a lot of culture shock that you went through, which is also part of growing up. I feel very, very important that you kind of resist and face those things and become mature like that. Yeah, this is towards my end of my NID after my final projects are done. This is Deepak Bhai. He passed away last year. No, this year. He was very, very like a mentor who helped me shoot my films. He was an Oxbury cameraman. Um, this is our convocation photograph. Yeah, this is one avatar after NID when before I went to the industry at some point during NID days. So some of you might be wondering that what would it look like without mustache and beard. So this was it. Yeah. So that is a really short presentation about what the journey was like. But it was an overall development at NID. And after that, one got to Mumbai, and in Mumbai, that in 97, 98, there was no option for getting an animation job. The animation industry was mostly service studios, and service studios were hiring mostly hands and who have the skill. But here I was from NID studying 5.5 years at NID, wanting to make films, with, I mean, and not wanting to work in a studio where I would be just giving my skill. I wanted to give my ideas. I wanted to do. So there was no option. There was no such a studio in Mumbai that time. So yeah, I worked in a multimedia company in the first year till I started Famous House of Animation. The starting of Famous House of Animation is also pretty funny because uh, I was hired to create content, animated content, way back in '99, and that's when I set up a studio uh, with a few people from NID, a lot of people who were in other animation studios in Mumbai, and I kind of put together a team, and that team became Famous House of Animation. But there was another story in between. I started doing this Amar Chitra Gathas as animated series. That was the first assignment that I kind of took up. In the sense, this is something that we are starting on our own. There was nobody who is assigning this. There is no market that wanted such a product. But we said that if you want to create animation content, then let's create Amar Chitra Gathas that were very popular during our childhood days. Let's convert them into animated series. And we started working on it. And without knowing where we are going to sell, what we are going to do. And it was a definite failure. And once the failure happened, I was the founders and the management of the from Famous Studios, Famous House of Animation, asked me to pack up the team and just buzz off. Said that there's no point in you continuing because it's a flop show. That's when I said that let me stay on and try and get some really short films work, like maybe promos or IDs or advertisements or something, and I will sustain the team like that. And from then on, I said that if I go out and bring work and bring the revenue, then you pay my team. So that was the condition with which I continued at Famous, and eventually it was successful. We kind of made a lot of interesting films during those days, with Channel V, MTV, etc., etc. But all of them were our own concepts and our own filmmaking styles. So we were elevating animation as a film storytelling medium from then. Way back in 99, 98, we started pushing animation as a storytelling medium and not just a technical skill. So that was the biggest differentiator between us and many other players in the industry that time. I want to show you maybe a couple of films from those times when we started off. Um, this is one film very early. So it was like very small number of people. We would be thinking of idea, thinking of this particular story. Idea was before you, Rajesh. I mean Rajesh Krishnan, who just directed Loot Case, the movie. So it was his storyline, and he was with before you, and we had friends who like this. You know, we used to go to Channel B. We used to show our ideas, and they would do some films, and that's how the first Simpu happened, which is again in 2000. It is Vaibhav's story, Vaibhav's character, and I don't have a great copy of this one. I'll play the film. 2000.
क्या अभी हाथ ऊपर खड़ा हो जाओ, खड़े हो जाओ, हाथ ऊपर करके.
Yeah, so you know these stories. This was Vaibhav Kumaresh's character, his maths teacher, and along with many other ideas, we took this idea also to Channel V. We gave it to them, and this became very successful. And then we did some stop motion films for MTV. So these were all, we were using all these channels almost like today how people use YouTube. So they gave us exposure. They gave us recognition as people who want to use animation to make films and tell stories, and that gave us more people looked at us and gave us advertising work and stuff. Like that's how we started expanding and doing our own ideas. And I'll show you one more film, which is one of the Poga series films.
Heal your life with Poga. Many ways to find universal peace. Best of all, do Poga with the head between the knees. If you lose mind, look in the behind. If you cannot see, look through the knee. Pull your kidney out, put it in the mouth. Take a Poga breath and suck it all about. For universal bliss. Daily 4 times you do this. Next week, it's Poga.
So these films are done at really limited resources, and but the results were really amazing, satisfying for us as filmmakers, and very 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 difficult sort of this was a time when there was no digital filmmaking, so we were shooting it on film. And as you can imagine, stop motion with films were really tough. So slowly, while we are making advertisement films, it became, um, we got recognized as a company that does very innovative sort of animation and filmmaking. And with Studio E.Suresh coming up, our canvas kind of expanded. We didn't limit our work to animation, but it also expanded to live action and live action plus animation, and many such new media explorations started happening. So at that point in time, when we started Studio Exodus, is when I thought we should do short films, and short films were completely the in 2009, 2008. There were no short film industry. Even now, it is not there. But we felt that doing short films will make us good in two ways. One is that you will get eloquent and our expertise in long form storytelling will become better. So tomorrow, if we have to make a feature film, our experience in making short films will really aid. Secondly, there was a lot of idle time in the studio with a lot of technical staff, because some of them would only work when there's a film project. So having film projects like short films on the floor always helped them. Once our commercial projects got over, they could fall back to these sort of projects, so that they have, I felt creatively they'll be satisfied, creatively they'll get motivated to get back to short films, because most of the time we are working on client brief project. Even though as E.Suresh, we get a lot of leeway and avenue to improvise on our clients script and ideas, but it's still a client's project. It has a deadline, it has certain approvals from the client, etc. So this was like, creativity was the peak. We wanted to do what we felt like doing, and it made our team more cohesive. That's what something that I felt. People will like become together as a force. They will come together, and that these sort of exercises would really work in that sense. It worked for a long time, but the teams that we started these projects with, we didn't end with them, because in between those teams left, and because they had learned enough probably, and they wanted to do better in life with that learning, and there were more. We had to find new teams to complete those films. So in case of Fisherwoman, Tuk-Tuk, it took us 6 years to do. In the case of Tokri, it took us 8 years to do, and there are many lessons learned in the process. I mean, despite these films traveling to so many places, we feel that if you stipulate a budget and a timeline like the clients do, it's better to do is short film also on time and within budgets, because otherwise you end up spending a lot of money, and it takes a lot of time. Sometimes the context itself shifts. The context that you, fortunately, both Fisherwoman and Tokri's contexts are relevant even today. But sometimes 8-9 years is good enough for a topic to be outdated. So it doesn't make sense for us to stretch a project like that. Those are my learnings from these experiences. But the most amazing thing about Tokri journey, which also I want to take you through, is that the way the film traveled, and at one point in time, we were invited to Studio Ghibli, because and that Studio Ghibli is one of our inspiration, and they loved Tokri and they wanted to feature Tokri in a film festival. And it was something, this is an experience that I want to share with all of you. I entered Ghibli Museum to have a meeting with the people over there. And the moment I entered the Ghibli Museum, the guard who was maintaining the line of people recognized me and said, "Suresh-san, Tokri." And he not only recognized me and the film, but he also said the traffic scene, the cars, amazing. It's really good, really good. So I was so deeply touched by the way the people, even a staff in the Ghibli Museum, was aware of the film and the detail, and that's how much they get into. So this is Nilima, my wife, in the middle, and this is Junko-san, who took us to Ghibli Museum from TBS, and this is our meeting with the Ghibli team at Ghibli Museum. Studio Ghibli officials are also there in this meeting, and they hosted a film festival by the theme of Tokri, that is family bonds. And it was the premiere of the film festival was done with Tokri. So this is the audience at Mitaka Ghibli Museum, and this is the film screening of Tokri. And of course, the talking about awards, this is the national award for Fisherwoman and Tuk-Tuk. Again, something that we really cherish. As of course, we have Fisherwoman also at the stage. Annecy is another award that we can never forget. It's the first for India. We have got nominated at Annecy, including this year, almost 10 or 15 times, 10 or 12 times. This is the 12th time we got nominated. But we never thought we would ever win Annecy, because the kind of films that win at Annecy are so good, are so amazing, and we always used to get inspired and mesmerized by the kind of films that are shown there. And so this, but this particular year in 2015, we Nilima and I, we were not sitting in the there was a special area reserved for of people who are nominees, but we said, what is the point in sitting in the front? We'll sit behind. That's fine. And I was, in fact, dozing off, sitting in the audience, like 2,000 throbbing audience, 2,000 people throbbing audience. And then the first award that they call out was our name, and it was a shock, and I was in a state of disbelief for a good 15-20 minutes. I don't even know what sort of speech I gave there, because it was completely not coming to reality. So this is that moment when they called out my name, and me running down the stairs to receive the award. And this is that moment. Yeah, that is the award. And this is the first time any Indian company was winning at Annecy, which is the biggest honor for an animation film. And yeah, we were incomplete. We were in a different high without any alcohol. Yeah, this is something that we won in 2015. This is another award at Tokyo Anime Awards Festival, where we won the grand prize for Fisherwoman and Tuk-Tuk. Again, another moment of the head office of animation. We consider Japan as the head office of animation, and there in one of their biggest film festival, winning for Fisherwoman and Tuk-Tuk was completely dream come true. These were some moments from other film festivals. This is a film festival in Russia called Krok, where we've been partnering with them. I've been in jury also there. It's a sailing film festival where the film festival happens on a ship, aboard a ship. The screenings happen on the ship. 7 days and nights. All the animation filmmakers, animators, everybody's on this ship. It's an amazing experience. So that is a bit into the festival journey and Tokri. I think that's all I had to tell you. One more thing I want to tell you about. People ask me about whether I draw or not. I believe that everybody needs to draw or record from around for coming up with original, fresh ideas. I feel I feel you need to be observant. You need to be listening, and for that I just quickly scribbled out something to share with you. Um, like most importantly, I mean, one has to listen. Even to songs, conversations, everything is fine. But the stories are everywhere. how you take them and record them in your mind is going to make it different. Observe, see, and recording. I mean, if you are not capable of drawing, write it down or record, just narrate the story and record it on your phone or whatever, but do it on a regular basis. And this is the real essence of how to get ideas. There is no other way to get ideas. Reading, and from your from all around you, you can get, you can of course watch movies, you can of course read books. Those are all areas from where you can get ideas. But from around you is when you get ideas. Most of my stories are coming from around me, and I feel that then you don't have to do anything. Whenever you need to share these stories, you narrate it in any way. If you want to talk the story and narrate the story verbally, do that. If you want to draw and narrate it, do that. You want to make a film and narrate it, do that. If you want to make an audio recording of it and do podcast, do that. But sharing is an important part where story comes together. So this is something that I feel anyone and everyone can use, and it's not a unique theory or something. And that's what I want to give out and share with all of you here, because many of you would be aspiring and wondering what to do, how to make a story, how to create an idea. This is what I feel and I believe in. So now we can kind of open to questions. If I think we are already running out of time, so we can have some questions and some fruitful discussions.
Yes,
Suresh, you want to show Tokri? That will be awesome, and then we can jump into questions. So we'll not switch again to sharing.
Tokri, I can show an excerpt.
Yes, please. That'll be great.
Because, yeah, I don't think because it's all 15-minute film. It's already there on the links are. Just 1 minute. Tokri's, it just recently on the 8th of July, it got published on YouTube and Vimeo by Short of the Week. It was also selected as the staff pick of Vimeo, which is very, very prestigious. And Short of it's already crossed, I think, 1.3 million views. And something that I never expected for a short film, because short films are artistic, and it's not really like something like a very popular cinema. It is not a cartoon film, it's not humorous. So I never expected it to kind of do so well. So it's very surprising that uh, it's been well received at these platforms, even on Vimeo. I'm going to show a small little teaser.
Yeah. Sure.
This is one of them. I can share one more film. I maybe just for I don't know how the film would be playing. I would just show you share a few stills with you, just to understand how the set was made. And there are uh, there are making videos available on YouTube, so all of you can watch it there. I'm just showing you a few stills. So this is the scale at which all the sets were done. Most of this buildings are done with sunboard. It's a kind of thick paper. So for all the exterior shots, we used a smaller model, this size model, and all the expression shots, we used a bigger model. That's a real scale. So every little brick was created. There is no CG in the film at all. That's a real scale. All these bricks and all are created. That's not a giant keyboard. That's it. Any more? Ronnie, you think more? You
I
need to
think
see
this is
them.
great. I'm going to let the question answers go. Sanjay ji, to you. Thank you, Suresh. This is fantastic.
Yeah, this has been amazing, sir. So, like for Tokri in particular, how many team members were deployed, and how long it took for you to complete it?
So it took me 8 years to do it. There were 5 people devoted early working in the beginning, when even the art direction and everything was done by in-house team. So that team worked on it for almost with, and the pre-production team including, it'll be around 10 to 12 people worked on it in the beginning. But that was mostly the interior shots. Um, so the house scene, the father, daughter, and the mother, those situations were done, and one of those watch shop sequences were done. The entire exterior shots were done with a much larger team. Probably we had around almost 20-25 people working on it for on the set part for more than for a year, and on the animation and stuff, maybe 3-4 months, 20-25 people worked. So altogether, I would say the entire team strength wise, I think there is around 2 minutes of credit titles only in the film. So I think almost 50 people must have worked on it, not continuously, but different roles people were playing. Yeah, 8 years it took. If I worked on it without a break, then probably we would have this it would have been done in 3 years.
So along with your regular projects, you've been regularly doing it sideways.
Yeah, it was not regular. That was the problem, Sanjay. It was always going on a background. So whenever people dropped off the project, they used to come back. They would take maybe some more time. Like they'll take a month to get onto the project, and by the time they do 1 month of work, then they have to go back to another project. Then they lose touch again. Then they come back. They slowly get into it. So you lose a lot of time. Of course, money also, because people are slowly getting into the project and getting out.
True.
So it was a little foolish of us to, but we couldn't afford any other way. To be really honest, there is no other way we could have funded it at one go.
So, like, which were your happiest projects and which were your toughest ones?
One of my happiest project is Sulekha.com. And another film that was very blissful was Google Chrome for Tanjore painting. The toughest one would be Tokri only. I think why it is toughest is because at one point, a lot of our advisors and stuff told us just abandon the project. They said, just stop it. You have done 9 minutes of it. There is no point in spending more money, wasting more energy. It's not going to get you any money. Yeah, true. It doesn't bring any money back. It is just we are adding one nice film to our Indian animation, uh, showcase for many generations to come. They can see, okay, there is a film like this done in very difficult times, very difficult, lot of difficulty in people have created something like this. It's just that, and it's taken us, it's made us uh, get so much of it, got us so much of exposure internationally as a filmmaker, filmmaking entity, that animation storytellers. So that way we got recognition. I think that's all the film is going to do. It is not going to bring the kind of money that one is invested in. It's no more business like that. That's what it is.
I
It was the
wanted to ask
toughest
you,
one.
just listening to you, I'm going, what makes you hold on to something for 8 years? Like you didn't obviously plan it was going to take 8 years, but what kind of keeps you grounded and what keeps you alive that, no, I have to finish this project? Like what is that internal, how do you live with that?
No, one, it is not really like uh, at times you also feel like you maybe you listen to everybody and say that, okay, maybe I'll give up. But then one is trying to keep finding who else would support you, who can work with you, because there's no team. Remember, at one point there is no team. Everybody in the team left who worked on the project. So at that point in time, we were thinking, who else can take this? Because there are very few people who can actually work in this style and stuff. So we were also thinking, the people who worked on it were really young and they learned on this project. Because I'm saying that this is the way it has to be done. This is the
I
realism.
mean, it's cyclic, you have to move on. So
Yeah. So it's something that I had to like. Um, Somehow I think fate backed me. I think the right connections happened at times, and they just came together, and it got lifted. It got airlifted at one point, and boom, it was done. Yeah.
thank you. Back to you, Sanjay ji.
Sir, how do you recruit talent for your studio? What kind of like a specific you look for in people?
Okay, so this is very simple. I mean, I always tell people that we are looking for passion, we want patience, and third is great portfolio. The three P's. One is passion, patience, and great portfolio. So these are the three things. You know, we if one of the things are lacking, then you shouldn't look at applying to us, because patience is extremely important. Interest in doing something great should always be there, and your work should be great. So these are the three criteria.
Over to you, Siva. You can take questions from audience.
Yeah. So before we take a few questions from the audience, sir, you asked us to remind us about like how you keep each and every short film very different for
Yes.
projects. Yeah.
So the question, it's basically every story is different. Every story that one is telling is different, and I feel every story needs to have its own skin, and it cannot be wearing somebody's skin, somebody's costume. It needs to have its own skin, and that's a firm belief I have, and I've inculcated through time. And it's a time tested sort of a thing. Every time we come up with a new form, we don't know what is that. It's a natural evolution. We could have become like Pixar, or we could have become like, we could have had a style like Aardman animation, where all the characters have a similar, okay, signature look. We don't have a signature look like that. We our characters or our animations don't have a generic look. Oh, this is the Studio Exodus look. We always try and find that form for um, the story, and that quest begins moment the story lands up in our head, and we start looking for the form. And it's not just me, our entire team is being trained, and their outlook is to find that form. How should we do the next film? So, and that's what we even propose to our clients, that we cannot say that this is it. We need to look at so many options, and we show them so many options. All of them are viable. What is that thing that you would like to go with? So we give them that choice, but we always have our recommendations, and that's how all these films are different.
Yeah. Sure. Thank you. So next question is, why aren't there many women in animation?
Many
Why
women.
there are not many women in animation?
I don't know. It's changing a lot. When I go internationally for film festivals and students, I see mostly women. It's completely
Yeah.
different in India. I mean, when you're asking about India, probably it is something like that we have observed it, like also. I I I think that this is fundamentally probably the way um, our society is. There is a problem in the society then women being less capable or something like that. I don't think at all. There are so many fabulous animation, and I've seen when women, the girls who are working in animation, their focus and their patience levels and passion is some other level only. I mean, at least the people I've met with and I've worked with, they're very very driven. You cannot take the focus off them, and not only that, they can handle maybe a couple of other things also. Like a guy who is working, you late night and nights and days and all, he's working, you need to cajole him, like you need to like sympathize, empathize, and all those things. But with girls, I've seen that they just go. I mean, they're so focused. But I think in India, what is the reason why there's such a big imbalance is there? I don't know. I think many a times I've heard, which I have corrected our own male team members, that but sir, लड़कियों को मत लो ना, क्योंकि night में वो लोग, why? I mean, we used to tell the people that we should avoid working in the night. Internationally, no studios work in the night. I mean, why should we have a habit of working in the night? I mean, this is all given norms in VFX and animation that we will definitely work in the night. We haven't worked in the night for like maybe more than 4 5 years now.
Wow, that's nice, sir.
unless and until there is a shoot where we have to shoot in the night or something, because of the artist availability or the setup or what. But we have never faced that sort of a thing. And I've seen that when you have women colleagues working, it's been always a pleasure to see their focus and work. I've never been let down by women at work in terms of their focus, and there is no need of all this hand holding and all like you have to do with boys. I find boys more spoiled when it comes to when they're working on animation projects. You need to like really check with them. Is it ready? Are you going to be ready? What time are you going to be ready? It's but when you work with women, I may be generalizing, but this is the kind of people I've met with. They will proactively tell you that this is the time it will be ready and it will be ready. Or it will be reported to you that the shot is not going to be ready because of so and so reasons. I mean, it's not the other way around where you have to go and check. Is it going to be ready? Why won't it be ready? So I think it is changing. We are getting a lot of candidates who are applying, women candidates who are applying. Um, I think it's changing. A lot of people who are applying to us are girls.
Sure.
So yeah.
Great, sir. Thank you. So we see a few schools or like academies in India who work on short films. So, like, what is your take on like less number of short films coming out of all the animation schools, apart from few select schools like NID and so on? And what is your take on studios not really working on a lot of short films compared to other countries?
I really feel that it's a must to. Short films are the creme of the films. They are always the cream. Commercial films have a different purpose. I cannot make. If I make a commercial film, a feature film, it needs to be first commercially successful. That is something that I would think as a uh, basic denominator that I would work with. But in a short film, I think even if 1 million people don't see it, it's okay because it is for a specific number of people. If it appeals to more people, great, that's a bonus. But it is not a mass appeal film. So short films have to be more cream like, more artistic, more exploratory, more in terms of their nature. They need to explore more the story plots and planes that have never been explored before. That is the way it needs to be challenged. The mediums have to be explored and pushed. So it may not be something that is ever appealing to the masses like a commercial film. So that is the and commercial film also in India there is this difficulty of making it commercially viable, but internationally, even if your feature film doesn't make money but it's an artistic expression which is great, which is your sincere effort, it's not then it's equally valid because there are several art filmmakers who have done films, but it's not appealing to the masses, but they are films that we study in schools because they are so important. They are putting their heart and soul into it, and the methods are so important to grasp from there. So I believe that short films have to be there. If it's an animation filmmaking course, it has to be there. They have to make a short film, otherwise it's incomplete as a course. If but I don't I in from the gen I don't believe that everybody needs to be a filmmaker in the end. There has to be people who would be interested in designing characters, animating. There should be people who should be so much good with animation. There should be people who are great with storyboards, but fundamentally they have to go through a process learning of film. The filmmaking course has to be there for them so that they know where they fit in and how their work is going to make a big difference in the bigger scheme of things. When you don't have that knowledge, when you are blindfolded or you have the blinds and you are only doing one specific task, that's when your contribution becomes limited, your potential becomes limited. You need to, in a pipeline also, you need to know who is working on the previous level and who is going to work after your work is done, and how your own work is going to pan out and how it is going to be translated. I have never seen people who work in service studios feeling super proud about seeing their shot in the film. You know, I mean, we feel passionate about our film that, this is a 1 minute film we have done. It's on air. Even if, if it's an ad that comes and goes, we like, hey, that's our film. We feel like that, we feel that passion because we put in our heart and soul into it. That should be there in every animator or any CG artist. Your contribution is so important.
Sure, sir. So we'll take one more question before we end the webinar. I think it's like 1.5 hour past we started. So have you been working on any feature ideas? So can you please talk?
Oh, yeah, a few of them. In fact, there was a feature film idea that I started working on from year 2005. Still hoping that it will see the light of the day. There are a couple of films that I'm discussing right now. There is a live action film. There is an animation, full length animation feature film, and there are a couple of other short films that we are working on again. And for all those people who don't know, we have an incubation project where we mentor students. We mentor students who have those 3 P's: passion, portfolio, and patience. These 3 people who have that sort of a passion about animation filmmaking, we take their stories and mentor them and make them, we support their projects in our studio. Whenever the studio reopens, we'll start that again. But it's a mentorship program where we fund their projects also. It's something that we've been doing since 4-5 years now, and that is completely intended to creating filmmakers, animation filmmakers, to go out of here and go and continue the passion of filmmaking even when they're outside. So these are mostly students we are welcoming. As of now, only NID students have been coming. We are very, very excited if other people also come up and, with their proposals, with their ideas. Sometimes if the ideas are not compatible with our portfolio of films, we don't accept it. But there are other ways. We make them that person do the film all by themselves. We get professionals to work with them, music, sound, various other area. We get experts to give them advice apart from me mentoring them personally.
Wow.
Before Siva takes last question, one quick question. Where do you see XRS 5 years or 10 years, and what is the target? You've already achieved 2 national awards and Cristal from Annecy. So where do you see yourself and India in future?
Sanjay, I really don't have any yardsticks like that. Seriously, we had never kept any yardsticks all these 20 years. We just feel that, our success would be if we can influence others positively. If our work can have a positive influence in viewers and in triggering some people into taking up animation as their field and start making films, if our work can push them becoming more passionate about this medium, or if some of our films messages make people compassionate, like if Tokri makes more people compassionate and sensitive, then we can we consider that, that is more like success than really trying to have any such yardsticks. We would want to play a bigger role in content space. Definitely, we don't know how we can define that, to be really honest. So let's see.
I think Ankit, thank you for the question. There are 54 questions and we have the bandwidth. There's someone saying that, they're disappointed that we can't take more questions.
Uh, so I don't know. Suresh, are you open to taking another 10 minutes, 15 minutes into the
Sure,
Q&A,
sure.
or how are you feeling?
Yeah, one can definitely take questions.
Okay, all right. So we'll Shiva will take another 10 minutes and see whatever we can finish in those 10 minutes. Yeah.
Sure. Thank you, Vani. And
Thank you,
thank you very
everyone.
much.
Thank you, Suresh.
Thanks for giving additional time. So I'll quickly see if I can cover as many questions as possible, and we'll try to pick few. So there is a question by Nikhil Chandra. Your ideas and content is very evidently rich in Indian culture. What kind of research do you do when you have to make something rich in a culture which you are not so familiar with?
So, this is where my design education comes into play, where we believe in research a lot. We don't believe in taking our first-hand information or understanding as something that we can apply in our films. Like when we did Sulekha.com, I looked up Patachitra Gada from Orissa, studied how that art is done, and went ahead and proposed it to our client and did that. So it is very, very important to study, and in fact our artists have to also study that craft, how those drawings are done, how people actually work on such kind of craft to get authenticity into our work. It's very, very important to dive deep into these styles, and most of our films remotely, directly or indirectly, are connected with folk arts. And I believe folk arts mean it's a art of people, which is always simple in form, simple in genesis, but they have a lot of connect with the soul. And that is something that in terms of music also, I use a lot of folk music influences in our work, which is always a good thing, because the folk art forms are simple, easy to understand, and it is easy to translate, and they will always have a connect. So that's something that we try and maintain, which is one of the reasons why most of our works look very Indian.
Yeah, sure. Thank you, sir. That was very insightful. So next question we got from Ankit. Have you got any chance to work on international projects? Any animation film you want to suggest which students should see for case study?
Oh, there are several films that you all should watch. International short films, especially. I've worked on a few projects internationally, um, and with international teams. I wouldn't say that I'm working on something with another studio, an international studio. We haven't collaborated. In fact, a lot of our animation work gets done in some studios in Germany or Poland. Whenever there is a requirement for such sort of work, we have outsourced our work to them. But we haven't worked on a project like that. We keep getting inquiries and possibilities. We worked on a feature film, which somehow got shelved last year, which was a French Indian, where I was a co-director with a French director. It was a film that was announced to release in 20, but in 2018 we had to shelve the project because of some differences between the producers. But it was one of its kind, that project. Um, I have worked on quite a few films with WHO. Even now we are working with WHO on several projects, and um international organizations, yes, we have worked on several of them. But I think the question must be more towards whether we work with Pixar or studios like that. We haven't worked with any such studios, because first of all, we don't take any outsourced sort of work. We create our own projects, so we haven't worked like that with such big studios.
Sure, sir. Next question. What are your suggestions to the parents who want to give their kids exposure to this beautiful medium animation besides showing animation films?
Um, you know, it one of the things that I can really tell parents is that don't think that they will start earning after a course immediately. Give them a space and be patient with them, because once they excel in their craft, there is no dearth of earning for them. There is enough and more opportunities in this for this field around the world, and it is not something that is restricted to India. Like, if you are an Indian, you don't need to be restricted to working in only in Indian projects. Today, the world market is open. You can work on any project anywhere in the world, sitting at your home or traveling elsewhere. So the possibilities are immense, but don't hurry up and making them feel burdened to pay, or start paying back, or start earning well. Those are big challenges that they have to carry, because they are already trying to develop their skill and their craft and their understanding in animation. This extra burden of okay, you already are 25, or you're already 30, your neighbor is earning more than you, or this guy is earning, that engineer is earning more than you, or those sort of comparisons can like really make them demoralized. So only thing that parents need to do is be patient, because if your kid is really serious about animation, he or she will excel. He or she will really do well. And for that, if you see the focus in them, just let them be. Make sure that, if the kid wants to go for higher studies or whatever, let them do that, because there are enough and more possibilities in this field. It's coming to India too. It is not yet there in India, but it's coming to India too. I mean, internationally, when I go as a jury for film festivals, majority of the children, majority of the kids are doing 2D animation, handcrafted animation, stop motion animation. There are very few who are doing CG. Like 2,300 films get made every year. At least, I mean, that's a minimum number of decent films that are getting made in short film area in around the world, and they're all decent. They're all get doing. Their young students are also there. Like 50% of them are young students who are like between 17 and 25, and they are very passionately working on animation. There are more students who are enrolling every year.
Sure. Thank you. So next question, sir, why do you think Japanese animations are so famous in India and internationally?
Japanese animations weren't famous in India or internationally maybe 25 years ago. It was Japanese animation was very uh, well known in Japan only, and they made these animations only for Japan market first, and because they weren't even dubbed in any other languages earlier. But they found that people are getting more interested in their animation. In fact, you can take my example in 1990 and all, when I used to look at Japanese animation, the limited ones which one got to see, I felt they're very jerky, very limited drawings. I never liked them, but people have developed the eye for it, and more than in the eye, it's the story, it's a storytelling style that they have cracked, which is so much more. There's so much more variety in the storytelling compared to Disney classical way of storytelling. That is what is appealing to people. I mean, a series like Shinchan and all are unimaginable in from Disney. The characters are notorious. The kids are unruly. You cannot imagine such sort of characters. Disney or Pixar trying to make it.
Yeah, cool, sir. So we'll take one more last question.
Yeah.
I mean, one last question here. Uh, how difficult is it to work with a different like set of crew members who has like different mindsets or ideas, and how do you inspire them or motivate them to align towards your like mindset or goals when you are directing these films?
Not what? Can you just tell
So
this question?
how do you work with the different crew members and uh, give them some direction or inspiration so that they will all align towards
Yeah.
your
So
ideas and your.
always we have meetings. We always see films. I mean, I kind of share what I'm thinking as a treatment and an idea. I share it with the entire team. I show them multiple films, multiple visuals. I show my own sketches of how one is imagining, to make sure that everybody is on board. Everybody understands what I'm thinking very clearly. And once I once I do that, I see them coming up with ideas and references. When they come up with references that are clicking with me, is when I understand that, okay, they are aligned now. I always ask them to find out references of, when I give them a brief, I ask them, what sort of visual references can you think of? Can you just sit out for half a day and show me references that you can relate with this sort of a style? If they come with similar, or there is a resonance in the kind of references that they collect, I feel that they are aligned. Now that we can have a conversation in the same wavelength, because they are understanding what my expectations are.
Yeah, sure. Thank you, sir. So thank you very much for all your time and inspiration. We really, really appreciate all your insights and the journey of the Indian short films going international. So yeah, thank you,
I
sir.
think all of them should watch Short of the Week. There are several channels like Short of the Week, Discovery Shorts, Vimeo. Vimeo has a lot of amazing animation short films. So these are the platforms that one has to watch every week. The Vimeo staff picks are one of the most amazingly curated films. So these are things that it's already there on YouTube and on public domain. So one should just access them, and there's enough and more to learn from. I mean, there is no dearth of material out there.
Thank you so much, Suresh. This has been fantastic once again. Thank you for making the time. Thank you to all the coordinators of ASIFA India, to the panelists, to the presenters, to the hosts. I just want to thank everyone. Have a great evening. I know it's Saturday evening, and we have a fantastic webinar next week. It's actually writing for feature, writing for feature films by Pillar, who's extremely well known in America. So she's taking the time to come and share the experience of how to write for TV as well as for feature. So
Amazing.
stay tuned in. Thank you, everyone. Have a good evening.
Thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much. Pleasure.
Bye, Suresh. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Thank you so much.